I believe if you want to achieve something, you got to run with passion, and you got to do it with a want to do it. And you know, just before you guys came in, I was talking. Us three were talking with two boys. They go to your school. Their names are Blake and Brian. You guys know them?
Yeah.
Oh, your brother?
Brian.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
You're Brian's sister? Yes. Okay, cool.
And we were talking with them about life and what was going on in their lives, and that they did have a passion. Like their passion was to come to school, to meet people, and to go home. And you know, we sort of think of like, what is your passion to get up in the morning? What is your passion to come to school? And you know, when I was growing up, seriously, my passion was to go to school for people and to hang around. And pretty much I was like Brian and Blake, all three of us were. And school was sort of like a social club for us. You need help me?
No, we need to get some money.
Oh, okay. And so when Paul talks about, you know, pressing on to take hold for which Christ took hold of me, Jesus Christ died so that we may have life. And Jesus Christ died that he may take hold of you, because we are rightfully his. He's the one that created us, and we're his. And so my first point is run with passion. And I love that, because you need passion to finish the race. And you know, I want to share about my brother. He, you know, his dream from when we were young was to play footy and to play professional. And you know, he trained this whole season. Like, you know, he played from all the way from under 16s all the way up to first grade. And that week, you know, we were all like, man, when are you going to play? You know, when are you going to make it in? And his coach called him and he goes, bro, you're playing first grade this week for the Roosters. You're playing against the Broncos. And this is what Steve has been praying for, my brother. You know, this is what he's been training for that whole preseason, which is the hardest training you can ever do. And, you know, he went through all of this, and he got to his game, and we were all excited. Our family was, like, pumped up. And we got there, and he got on about 10 minutes in, he busted his knee. And this is his debut, first game ever. This has been dreaming of this since he was a kid. And he got in, first 10 minutes, busted his knee. And we were all, like, devastated. And we were like, I cannot believe this. Like, God, what is your plan? Like, you know, is your plan for him to just train all this, put in this hard work just for 10 minutes on the field? And we're all like devastated. But the thing that happened after that was, you know, Steve, he was a guy that, you know, never wanted to speak, never, you know, he just wanted to do this. He just wanted to play footy. And it was all about him. And that's what he shared to us. He goes, it was all about me that whole time. And never once did he think about other people. Obviously he thought about us and about, you know, making some money to help mum and dad out and all that. But when he got there, it was about 10 minutes. But from there, Steve knew that, far out, I've been putting too much time into myself. I've been putting too much time into succeeding to be selfish. And it wasn't until this happened, you know, that Steve started to really know Jesus and what he did for him. And suddenly we started to look at things on the brighter side. So now Steve has more time to spend with God in the Word and to grow. And Steve had a passion, and that was to stir up the young people at our church and to stir up the young people, like to stir up a passion. And I don't know about you, but when one person has a passion, it's contagious. Do you all believe that? Like, say if my man here, Stu, if he was a passionate guy, started yelling right now, that would influence you guys, because you're like, oh, what's he doing? But when someone has a passion, you're all drawn to it. And that's what Steve did. He had a passion to change the youth at Mount Druitt. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have heard of Mount Druitt, but, you know, so many people look down on it. But there's real people there, and there's real people with real needs that need to be loved. And, you know, it's been a great work that has been done there. But the thing is, Steve had a passion. And so I encourage you guys, as you run this race of knowing Christ, because that's what life's all about. It's about knowing Christ more. And so I encourage you guys, run with passion. My second point is in verse 13. It says, brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining to what is ahead. And so my second point is run, never look back. And, just as Junior shared before, about his life and how far he has come. He's come so far. Do you agree? From selling drugs to being violent to, being this man that no one wanted to be around because it was too angry. To the person that he is now. He's like a big teddy bear. Hey. No, but you can see the change. And for Junior to say, nah, I'm looking back, I'm going to go back, would be a whole waste of time of what he has already accomplished. And, sometimes in this race of knowing Christ doesn't want us to look back. And when you look back, things happen, in your life. Have you all heard of the story in Matthew when Peter walks on water with Jesus? Yeah. And so he had the faith, he had the passion to get out of the boat. And his passion was Jesus. His eyes were on Jesus. And when he walked, he started to see things around him. He heard the waves coming. And they were so... Hey, Brian, my man.
What's up, man?
And so when he looked away, when he looked back at what was happening around him, what happened? He started to sink. And maybe sometimes in our lives we're running towards Jesus and we look to the side, we look at what the enemy is putting in our lives that makes us look back or makes us take us our focus off Jesus. And that's what Paul's talking about. He's talking about pressing on towards the goal. And the goal is to know Jesus Christ. And so what happens when we look back? Yeah. We lose sight of where we're going. And when you're running after Jesus, there's no time to look back. And although we do look back, Jesus says he'll always be there to catch you. And that's what Peter experienced. When he was falling, Jesus what? He gave his hand and he pulled him out. And maybe that's my story, Whenever I look back, Jesus is always there to carry me on. But I encourage you guys, when you're running this race, maybe it's friends at school, maybe it's, things happening at home with mum and dad, the family, things aren't going too well. And it's things like that take our eyes off the prize. It's things like that take our eyes off Jesus. And when you look back, it's like you've got to start all over again. And so I encourage you guys, run, never look back. The life that you had before is gone. You don't need it anymore. But the thing that you can do is change what's in front of you. You can never change the past. But you can make a choice. Each of us are encountered with choices that we have to make every day. And no one can do anything to change the past, but you can change what is coming. And so I encourage you guys, never look back. And the last thing is, in verse 14, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenly in Christ Jesus. And it's sort of like Paul saying, man, church, you guys run to finish. You guys run to contain this goal of knowing Christ. And I don't know about you guys, but I love starting the race. I love starting, you're in your position, and you're waiting for the gun, and then boom, and you go. And it's sort of you're sprinting the first 100. But what happens in a marathon? You get tired. And what else? You start to get... Yeah. So who can sprint for 5 kilometers? No one. You start to get tired, you start to get weary, and things just get weird and your body starts to break down. But what Paul's trying to say is that you run to finish the race. Doesn't matter how slow you do it, doesn't matter how slow it takes you to change your life around, but the thing is you're changing. And the thing is that you want to finish changing. You want to get there. And so, that's the bell. If you guys have learned anything, just run with passion, run, never look back, and run to finish. Thank you guys.
Feel free to get their Facebook contacts if you want.
Happy Wednesday.